Shaq is 7'1" and weighs 325 pounds of pure muscle, intimidating opponents just by existing. Yao Ming is 7'6" and dominated the NBA for years, making most players look tiny. But this teenage freak of nature makes both Shaq and Yao look like regular-sized humans. His name is Olivier Rioux, and at just 19 years old, he's already 7'9" tall, making him the tallest basketball prospect in NBA history. When someone makes Shaq crane his neck to look up, you know you're dealing with something extraordinary. We're not talking about some awkward kid who can barely walk. This French-Canadian tower is actually mobile, skilled, and has legitimate NBA dreams that scouts are starting to take seriously. When you see Olivier next to regular-sized humans, it's like watching a grown man play basketball with elementary school kids. Olivier's story begins in Montreal, Canada, where he was born to parents who knew their son was going to be big, but had no idea just how big. His father stands 6'8" and works as a photographer. His mother 6'2" and played volleyball professionally. His older brother reached 6'9" and played basketball too, both tall by normal standards. But when your youngest son towers over the entire family by more than a foot before his 19th birthday, you realize genetics had something special planned. By kindergarten, Olivier was already towering over his classmates and even some of his teachers. Doctors initially predicted he'd top out around 6'5". Apparently, medical professionals aren't great at predicting the growth patterns of future giants. His parents enrolled him in basketball at age 5, figuring his height would give him an advantage, though his size actually prevented him from playing his favorite sport, ice hockey. By age 10, he was already 3 inches taller than the tallest player in the NHL today. The first time Olivier went viral was during an under-12 tournament when he was just 11 years old, standing at 6'10" among kids who barely reached his waist. The video footage looked like a computer glitch. Parents in the stands couldn't believe what they were seeing. This wasn't just tall for his age. This was a legitimate giant playing against children. The video spread across social media like wildfire, and even NBA MVP Joel Embiid couldn't help but react, tweeting, "He has the nerves, the audacity to talk trash to El Mayo about the 12-year-old who was already 7 feet tall and dunking without jumping on 8-foot hoops." But what separated Olivier from other unusually tall kids was his coordination. Most extremely tall people struggle with basic movement, looking awkward and stiff as they navigate the world built for average-sized humans. Olivier was different. Even at 11, he moved with surprising grace, handling the ball with confidence and displaying basketball instincts that went beyond just being tall. Real Madrid saw enough potential to sign him at 13, and in his first game, his team demolished opponents 121-49, while Olivier scored 20 points in limited minutes. As Olivier entered his teenage years, his growth showed no signs of slowing down. At 13, he measured 7'2". At 14, he reached 7'5" and officially became the world's tallest teenager according to Guinness World Records. By 16, he had reached 7'7". Each measurement brought new waves of attention, but also new challenges. During his teenage years, Olivier began representing Canada internationally. He helped Canada win bronze at the 2021 FIBA Under-16 Americas Championship, and later competed in the 2024 FIBA Under-18 AmeriCup, where Canada again captured bronze. These tournaments showed that Olivier could compete against elite international competition, though his mobility limitations became more apparent. Finding clothes became impossible. Olivier's family had to special order everything from shirts to shoes to bed frames. Simple activities that 19-year-olds take for granted, like going to movies or eating at restaurants, became logistical nightmares when you're too tall for standard doorways and seating. Despite these challenges, Olivier remained focused on basketball. His family relocated to Florida so he could attend IMG Academy, one of the premier basketball development programs in North America. The move wasn't easy, leaving friends and familiar surroundings in Canada, but everyone recognized that Olivier needed specialized training and competition to reach his potential. At IMG Academy, coaches faced a unique challenge. How do you develop a player who's already taller than anyone he'll ever face? With Olivier, coaches had to get creative, focusing on endurance since being 7'9" requires your heart to pump blood much further than normal humans. They worked on mobility, footwork drills, and movement patterns to help him keep up with professional athletes who were a foot shorter but significantly more explosive. When you can dunk without jumping, it's tempting to rely purely on height advantage, but coaches focused on developing his shooting range, ball handling skills, and basketball IQ. The attention surrounding Olivier intensified as college recruitment began. Every major basketball program in America wanted to meet with him, not just because of his height, but because scouts were starting to believe he could actually play. Unlike previous extremely tall prospects who were projects or curiosities, Olivier demonstrated legitimate basketball skills that translated to competitive play. Despite his extraordinary height, recruiting services only gave him a 3-star rating, showing that scouts understood size alone wouldn't guarantee success. Videos of his high school games showed a player who understood positioning, made smart decisions with the ball, and impacted games beyond just his physical presence. He wasn't just standing in the paint waiting for easy baskets. He was running the floor, setting screens, and making plays that required basketball intelligence. For the the first time in basketball history, scouts were looking at someone approaching 8 feet tall and seeing genuine NBA potential. The media attention reached new levels when Olivier committed to the University of Florida. Press conferences were held in specially modified rooms to accommodate his height. However, when Olivier arrived in Gainesville for the 2024-25 season, Florida made the strategic decision to redshirt him. Coach Todd Golden explained that this wasn't about Olivier being unable to contribute, but about protecting his eligibility while he continued developing. "I'm not trying to burn your year putting you in for 30 seconds, Golden told him during games when fans chanted for Ollie to enter blowout victories. The redshirt year proved valuable as Olivier worked on conditioning and consumed approximately 6,000 calories daily to maintain his massive frame. But here's the reality check. In today's NBA, being tall isn't enough anymore. The league has evolved into a fast-paced, perimeter-oriented game where centers need to defend pick and rolls, switch onto guards, and keep up with the lightning-quick pace. Just look at 7'4" Boban Marjanovic, whose per 36-minute stats are spectacular: 23 points and 15 rebounds. But he's barely played 3,000 total minutes in 9 NBA seasons because he can't defend modern offenses. Players today are so skilled they'll exploit any lack of mobility on every single possession. Olivier faces similar challenges. While he dominates in the paint and can alter shots just by existing, his lack of explosiveness is an issue. It's hard for him to get off the ground, and changing directions is challenging. These are the main obstacles that, if he can keep improving, might give him a chance down the road. His ability to run has made great strides, and he has better hands and feel than you would think, but the mobility concerns remain significant. NBA scouts have been attending his games regularly, not just out of curiosity, but with genuine interest. Front office executives who had never seriously considered drafting someone over 7'7" were suddenly having conversations about how Olivier might fit into modern basketball. The psychological pressure of being the tallest basketball prospect in history weighed heavily on Olivier. Every game was scrutinized not just by basketball fans, but by people fascinated with human extremes. Managing expectations became as important as developing basketball skills. As Olivier enters his redshirt freshman season for 2025 to 2026, NBA teams are keeping close tabs on his development, but he's still years away from being draft ready. Teams recognize his unique potential, but they also understand that someone of his stature needs time to fully develop physically and refine his basketball abilities before making the jump to professional basketball. The long-term outlook on Olivier's professional prospects varies wildly among experts. Some see him as a generational talent who will eventually redefine what's possible in basketball. Others worry that his height, while impressive, may never translate to meaningful contributions against the world's best athletes. What everyone agrees on is that his journey represents uncharted territory in professional sports. Every aspect of his growth trajectory remains fascinating to basketball analysts. His coordination continues improving despite his massive frame, suggesting he might overcome the mobility limitations that have plagued other giants. College coaches are reportedly developing new training methods specifically designed for his unique physical requirements. Sports scientists are said to be interested in studying his biomechanics to understand how someone his size can move efficiently on a basketball court. If Olivier succeeds in the NBA, he won't just be a basketball player. He'll be a phenomenon that transcends sports. His impact would extend beyond statistics and championships to redefine human potential and athletic possibility. Young players around the world would look up to him as proof that any physical limitation can be overcome with dedication and proper development. At 7'9", Olivier Rioux isn't just the tallest NBA prospect ever. He might be basketball's final frontier, the point where human size reaches its absolute limit while still maintaining the skills necessary to compete at the highest level.